I want to sort of, we've been talking about religion, we've been talking about a lot of different things. I want to see if we can pivot this conversation a little bit about like ADHD that you suffer from, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, because this is something that you've been very vocal about as well.
Yeah, so the second book I wrote was on mental illness and really focusing on ADHD. So if anybody out there that has read the book, it's quite, I just talk about my journey, and the reason I wrote the book is because I ended up in a treatment facility because of the medication, the Ritalin and Concerta and all of that stuff. So
you got addicted to the Ritalin.
Yeah.
Because Ritalin and Concerta, there's a documentary on Netflix called "Take Your Pills," I think, and it explains that Ritalin and Concerta, you know, they're great, but they are grossly overprescribed. And the problem is when you're taking Concerta, it's basically a meth microdose.
It is a meth.
That's what it is. It's the same substance. It's a methamphetamine, but you're taking a tiny little bit of it.
Methylphenidate is the same as methamphetamine. So methylphenidate is the active ingredient in Concerta, Ritalin, and in Adderall, it's methamphetamine. So you've got those three meds: Adderall, Concerta, and Ritalin. If you give Ritalin and Concerta to anybody, doesn't matter who you are, you will find a boring task enduring. You will be able to finish what you start. You will be able to focus and concentrate, because that's what meth does. That's what amphetamine does. So, and because I had such, now I must tell you, there is value to it. I'm not saying that there isn't value. You know, with a lot of people, it really, it's like the third wheel that they're using because they can't ride their two-wheel bicycle at the moment. So they've got a little third wheel, and it's helping them for a while. But the problem today is people are not diagnosed correctly. In South Africa, what are the parameters of being diagnosed? I mean, you've got a teacher that says, "Oh, Josie can't sit still. It's going to, put it on my Ritalin."
So Hykie, about 2 years ago, I went into an office to be tested for ADHD. I sat down because my mom has it. She's been diagnosed for a long time. So I sit down. She gives me this form to fill in. Okay, so the form has like 12 questions on it. It's like, do you struggle to concentrate sometimes? Do you find that your mind wanders? Blah, blah, blah. So I fill it in, honestly, as you're supposed to do. I give it back. She gives it a look. She's like, well, it's clear to me that you do have ADHD. My mind was blown, sitting right there thinking, like, is this it? There's no brain crazy. Scan. It is
absolutely crazy. So let me just give you perspective. So in France, Sweden, there are many countries out there where medicine is the last option. Like literally, do you know that 2% of all people in France that are diagnosed with ADHD receives medication?
Yeah, it should be the last option.
It should be the last option. So what they do there is they come into the house, they look at social, they look at trauma, they look at, kind of discipline, they look at diet, they look at all kinds of things. So what's happening in the world is because, and you really have to do a lot of research to kind of try and understand what it is that I'm trying to say in the book, is that we're living in a society today which is called the society of distraction. Society has ADHD. I mean, all over. Never again, ever have we lived in a society where there's so many distractions and so many things happening.
Did you watch the social dilemma?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Yeah,
it's exactly that. So the way that, and if you watch the social dilemma and you read, if you read the latest book from Simon Sinek, he wrote a book called "It Starts With Why." Leaders Eat Last. He's the most requested TED speaker in the world, Simon Sinek. Get his books. You will love it. It's going to help you so much with your business. So the way that these things, cell phones and social media and information, is the effect it has on our minds and our thinking, creates the symptoms as if we've got ADHD, because we're all over the place and stuff. Because these things, cell phones releases dopamine. Every single time you get a WhatsApp or an email or a like and stuff, it releases a little bit of dopamine. You get hooked on that dopamine. You're back on your cell phone.
Yeah. And isn't that crazy? That you can become physically dependent on something that your brain produces. Like you don't need to take anything; it's already there. But you are basically microdosing yourself.
The whole time, yeah.
They also say,
and it's creating pathways that you're going to start like those skiers.
Yeah.
You are now busy creating.
So something they say in the documentary, which was this like light bulb moment for me, where it really was visually represented. They talk the entire documentary about how things are designed to be targeted at human addiction. They talk about how they have teams of psychologists working at Facebook and Instagram to engineer these apps to keep you engaged for as long as possible, because the longer you spend on the app, the more ads they can show you and the more money they make. So this is coming from Tristan Harris, who invented the like button. Okay, so he's talking about one of the concepts that they brought in at a stage, which is where you pull your screen down and there's that little load, and then it refreshes with new content. Like, you can literally sit there and pull that thing 10 times, and every time it'll give you new content. So he's talking about how he was there when they were developing this. And the inspiration for this idea came from slot machines, like gambling slot machines, where you sit, you pull the lever, it spins, and then bam, you either win or you lose or whatever. And those slot machines obviously have been tried and tested to be really brilliant, because every time you feel like, next time. So they just took that exact concept and they put it in an app to engage that same thing. So what we've now all become, obviously we're not gambling with our money, we're gambling with our attention. And what we've become are gambling addicts on our phones, because you swipe down and the win is you see something that's going to engage your attention, and the loser is you're not going to see anything. So you swipe and you swipe and you swipe. Or on the alternative side, we've all got endless scroll now. Those endless scrolls were not put in for convenience. They were put in because it keeps people engaged longer. So you scroll down, scroll. Every time you move your thumb, what's the next thing going to be? Is it going to engage me? Is it going to be something I enjoy? So we have become gambling addicts on our phones.
Yeah, and we've become slaves to the distraction. So, and in Korea and in Japan, they've got social media. It's now diagnosed as a mental illness. They've got massive recovery programs for people that, just the other day, 2 Chinese people were found dead in front of with adult nappies on. Now that you're talking about people getting so addicted, I was in Las Vegas 4 years ago. I was there for 10 days for a conference, an entrepreneurial conference. And did you know that the highest selling pharmaceutical item in Las Vegas is adult nappies?
Because you can just sit and play.
People just don't want to get up from there. So it's really quite ridiculous. But so just to get back to what's happening in South Africa. So across the world, it is changing slowly, but the school system has never changed in the last 100 years, ever. But we live in society, and because of modernity, everything's changing around us, and it has changed so fast, yet the school system has never adapted, and it's never changed. So you're sitting with a school system where you've got kids, millennials, and Generation Z kids today, and you shove them in a school system that's 100 years old. So how does that kind of function and work? So you've got this kid that still can't concentrate because at home he's just a normal millennial playing with all these things.
Well, millennial might be a bit outdated, because millennials are in their late 20s already. The Z's.
So you've got these kids, kind of going into the school, and now, just because they can't concentrate or whatever, and I understand the teachers as well. I understand their frustration. I understand that they, get so, because you want these kids to kind of pass. So the best way to do it is to drug them and get them just through the school system. And a teacher is not allowed. I deal with this very, very often. I get an email where the teacher said my kid must go, get Ritalin, and that's criminal. The teacher's not allowed to say that. He or she doesn't have the expertise to do it. It's absolutely criminal. They're not allowed to do that. And there are different ways to maintain this. So I can't use the medication. I found the most amazing products, natural products that I order from Dallas, Texas, and can't buy them online, that help me with a natural way of getting all my meds. I was on about 5,000 rands of chronic medication, because apart from ADHD, I was diagnosed with bipolar, depression, anxiety disorders, a whole bunch of things because of my drug addiction as well. That obviously amplifies mental illness. And over the years, I've just
slowly phased it out.
Slowly but sure. But it's a combination of social skills, your relationship with God, healthy eating, healthy sleeping, healthy. If people want to kind of get healthy from mental illness and problem stuff, it's really a decision that you've got to make, that you want to get to a place of wellness. And it's a holistic approach. It's always a holistic approach. Even with ADHD and stuff, people are looking for silver bullet solutions, medicine or this or that, or help my kid, it's not like that. It's a lifelong journey that you have to walk. And often with ADHD, it is a diet problem. You can change a kid's behavior so much, just getting him to make sure that he gets in the right food and right nutrition.
So what do you mean by that? Like, are you talking about things like blood sugar spikes that a lot of kids are very exposed to?
A whole bunch of things. So it's blood sugar, it's fizzy drinks, it's nutrition. It's not just that. You see, there are micronutrients that we're supposed to get into our diet that we're not receiving in at all anymore. It doesn't even matter. You can go to Woolies and buy the best fruit and veggies there. You're not going to get it in because of what society has made food out to be. So most of the micronutrients, glyconutrients, plant sterols that we were designed to have in our bodies constantly through diet does not exist because of green harvesting and pesticides, artificial, whatever. It's
one of the